what are the three main things that most of us as adults do every day? Well, most of us need to work. Most of us want to do something for our own health and wellness, exercise, meditation, something on the mind-body side. And then finally, social's a given, right? Whether it's entertainment or relaxation on the spa treatment side. And I'm thinking maybe I can build a space that offers the things that we're doing every day, but the ability to do them all in one full integrated place.
Hey everyone, I am Jeremy Feldman.
And I'm Scott Kafka with Lively Charleston podcast.
Today we're sitting down with Bo Burns right here on site at the Wanderer to hear his story and to learn how this place came to be.
Oh, we're super excited about this podcast. It's been a long time coming. Let's just jump into this and get going.
So, Bo, thank you, man, for taking a little bit of time out of your busy day.
Absolutely.
We know you are a very busy man with everything that you're working on here. And man, we've been trying to actually get all of us together here to be able to sit down for close to a year here to really to tell your story. When we first got connected and you told me a little bit about what you were up to and some of the backstory on how you got here, for me it was a no-brainer. We definitely needed to share this with other people, at least people around Charleston. So thank you for the time and for sitting down with us.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. So I think it's only appropriate to kind of kick things off by maybe giving folks that maybe haven't heard of you or the Wanderer and what you're up to, maybe just kind of from a bird's eye view, what you're doing here, what this place is all about, and then maybe we can circle back to some of the story of how we got here.
Sure, absolutely. So project started, initial concept I should say, in 2015. I was just leaving a 10-year stint in corporate finance, wealth management, and I just hit a point at which I realized I was showing up, punching a clock, sitting behind a desk, earning a steady paycheck, plenty of money and good benefits and the stability that most of us aspire for, but it was nowhere near enough. I wanted more purpose and meaning. So I left the bank in late 2014 and I left the country within the next few weeks, and I wanted to clear my head and just get outside of my familiar box and do some traveling and figure out what I wanted to spend the rest of my life doing that would align with more of that purpose and meaning. Trip was about a year long, took me around the world and gave me a lot to think about, a lot of inspiration that really became the catalyst for this whole concept. And
so you after you left your job, you started traveling the world, and that whole trip lasted about a year?
Close to it, yep.
And did you know that going in that you were going to be bouncing around for a year, or did you just pack your things and say whatever happened?
The initial trip was just going to be going to Nepal to hike Mount Everest base camp. Okay. And my brother-in-law at Christmas that year told me there's a global package itinerary through Star Alliance. It's a round the world trip, and it's 40 or so thousand miles for like $5,000 or $6,000. Great deal. You stay in hostels, you can really make it affordable. So I booked it for the extent of the trip that it was about 9 or so months in totality.
Oh, so you knew what you were getting into. That
you have to pick all the stops, and then you can change as much as you want once you're in the trip. But I started in Australia and I finished in South America before I came home. So you have to start and finish kind of in the same fluid path.
Sure.
East to west or vice versa.
Wow. I mean, that price tag kind of blows my mind. Any idea what that would cost today?
Well, I actually looked it up about a month ago. They still offer it. I don't know what it's priced at now, but it is based on how many stops and the length of travel. I don't think it's probably more than 10,000, so it's still a deal. Right. I mean, that's a misperception that I think a lot of people have is I'd love to do these things, but I can't afford that. Well, I Airbnb the place that I have here when I was on the trip, and I made it work out where I really didn't end up spending that much more than if I would have stayed here. Charleston's more expensive than a lot of places around the world.
Sure.
When you're staying in hostels for $10-15 a night, you make it really affordable.
Absolutely.
You're roughing it, but you're meeting a lot of great people, and that's, I think, the best part of traveling.
Well, and that's what you signed up for, right? You're going on an adventure. It's not necessarily going to be bougie, right? When you're traveling the world for 9 months.
That's right. I mean, if you're insulating yourself in 5-star hotels, then you're not really getting a visceral cultural experience. You're checking boxes and trying to say, I went here, I saw this, great, but that's not the experience I'm looking for. I'm trying to challenge my perspective and figure out how I can improve my life and meet great people, and
Absolutely.
I'm looking for more. So
you were really searching at that point.
yeah, I had an idea of kind of the focus, or one of 2 or 3 focuses that I thought it might be. When I get back, this is what I'll probably start working on. I was doing events on the side, and that kind of helped set me free from the bank, gave me a little bit of money to make the trip happen and take 9 months off. But I didn't really know, I knew events by itself was not going to be enough. I just wanted to have that be at the core of whatever I determined was going to be the next chapter. And that's kind of how this started to evolve. You know, it's meant to be a lot more than just events, but events bring people together, and that is the experience that allows that engagement and the quality of life that we're trying to help improve in some way really take effect.
So let's continue with you on this journey here,
Sure.
right? So you set off, you're on this adventure, you're traveling the world for a year. What are some of the stops that you made that were memorable for you?
Bali was the first after Australia, and Bali's it holds a real special place in my heart because of the people. It's mostly Hindu, but it's got a very strong divergence of all these major religions. The difference with the Hindu faith in Bali is these people are going out of their way to help everybody they can. I mean, you can't walk down the street in Bali without someone that you're passing saying, "Hi, how are you?" And a lot of places in the States, you can't walk down the street with somebody feeling comfortable doing anything but looking down. You say hi, it's like, "Do I know you?" So these are little things, but they do something to you. They start to make you question why we live a certain way and why these things are not the norm across the globe. But it's just these people have nothing at the same time, and they're happier than a lot of us are. And that also does a lot to you. Starts to just kind of wake you up, make you wonder and question about a lot. So Bali was the first, I would say. Swimming with whale sharks in the Philippines, and some of the people I met in the Philippines, all throughout Southeast Asia, the people are just incredible. And it's very impoverished, but not as much as India, which I would say was the most impactful. It's kind of like technology just stopped advancing 100 plus years ago, and I learned the average person in India lives off less than $2 a day, spends half of every day on average just searching for clean water.
Wow.
And they're still a lot of times seemingly more happy than we are as well. So other than that, I would say Morocco, South Africa, and definitely the Amazon in Peru, and Machu Picchu to kind of finish out the global itinerary.
Would you say that, so you didn't have any concept yet or any clarity on the Wanderer, right? Not at that point.
Correct.
Okay. So would you say, is it fair to say that going through to these different countries, that's when this concept first kind of started to take shape for you?
Yeah. It really started to take shape when I was in the Philippines, and I was set to leave for Nepal in about a week to hike Everest Base Camp. Not to be misconstrued with summit, of course, but still a hike, and I've been training for it. And my friend Scott called me. He was in China and about to make his way south through Tibet. And he said, "Listen, I know that this is a stretch because you're about to leave in a week or so, but call Gap Adventures, see if you can maybe push the trip back, because I could time it right and maybe meet you if you can do the next 2 weeks instead of a week from now."
So
and
you had it
with you.
booked. You were going to be going with the group hiking.
Yep.
Hiking base camp.
Yep.
At Mount Everest. So this is an organized thing with a group of people.
You got it.
Okay.
So week ascent, you stay overnight at base camp, then you come back down, and it takes about a week. So it's a 2-week trip. I was set to leave in about a week, and he called to see if I could push it back to the next 2 weeks. And I said, "Scott, this is the trip that's like their signature or premier trip that sells out well in advance every year. I can call them, but I think you and I both know it's a slim chance."
Right.
He said, "I know, but just humor me."
Give it a try, right?
Yeah. I called them. They said, "Yeah, actually, this never really happens, but you're in luck. We had a spot open up this morning, so we can probably bump you, and we'll try to find a way to make it work so your buddy can join now that we have this excess time." I said, "Wow, that's awesome." Called Scott back, let him know. So now we're booked to have me stay a little bit longer in the Philippines, which I'm not complaining about, and then I'm going to meet one of my best friends to do this with him. And fast forward 1 week later, and 2 or so days, I would have been in Nepal. I would have started my ascent up the mountain. I'm getting back from that morning swimming with the whale sharks, and I turn on the news in the hostel, and I see that the biggest earthquake in the history of Nepal has just struck Kathmandu, and the fault line goes under Everest. So it triggered a massive avalanche, killing all 15 people on the trip that I was supposed to be on.
That is unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Obviously, a lot of thoughts are going through my mind at the time, thinking I was, as of a week ago, supposed to be on that mountain. I wouldn't be coming home right now. I wouldn't be here. What are the chances that these things just happen to happen at this time and in this way? And I'm thinking about this, and I get a call from Scott on Skype, and he said, "Are you watching the news?" And I said, "Yeah, you saved my life." And I mean, I'll never forget it. He says, "Well, I didn't have the heart to tell you, but I was going to call you tomorrow and tell you that I got kind of held up in China on the Tibetan border. There was something going on, whether they were trying to annex Tibet at the time, I can't recall, but he couldn't get through. So he wasn't able to make it after all, which is the whole reason I, of course, changed to do the following 2 weeks."
Wow.
I said, "Let me get this straight. You just happened to call me the day that the spot happened to open up. I changed my trip only to be able to do this with you, only to learn now that you weren't even able to make it in the first place."
Wow.
I'm not a believer in coincidence or luck. I try to define either of those and see if that definition even makes sense to you. You know, it's more of this conformity in Western culture and domestication that I think we say that we believe in these things, but do we really? Do we even question them, or do we just accept it? Because everybody else around us thinks this, so that's the norm, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a firm believer that things are happening not necessarily for a reason, but probably because you've done something to put a ball in motion, or because metaphysically you believe in it unwaveringly and you're putting all your energy and attention into that. Either way, it's that's what I was trying to figure out at the time, like, why is this happening, you know?
Yeah. And is that kind of where, I mean, I'm sure just everything is hitting you at once, and can you imagine, like, if you didn't make that phone call, if you were just like stuck on the train track, right? And you didn't make that call and say, "I'm just gonna at least give it a try."
Yeah.
But that's set in motion, those butterfly wings, right?
Absolutely. A lot of thoughts. That's certainly one of them. And all I'm thinking about is the gratitude that I'm still here and I got a new lease on life. I'm probably not going to ever learn the specific reason why I was just spared, but I can at least spend the rest of my life from this point forward doing something that gives back and shows that gratitude and tries to at least help improve quality of life for other people or have some purpose and meaning. And that's why I was on this trip to begin with. I was done with the corporate world. I was making great money, but it was a means to an end, losing my soul behind the desk. I wanted more. So I'm kind of frazzled, to say the least, trying to figure out, okay, I was going to try to go and help out with the relief effort, but Nepal is an incredibly impoverished country, similar to India. And I was basically told, don't come here. It's like a war zone. There's a lot of corruption and things that are happening, and it's just not safe. So, not a good time. Yeah. So I picked India as the substitute trip, and it wasn't on the itinerary, and I didn't know anybody that had been to India at the time. So I kind of blindly picked a spot in the north for a 22-day package to be able to hike the Himalayas, since I wasn't going to be able to do Everest, and still just have a moment to think about all this that had happened and let the dust settle. Mm-hmm. And until I get there, I don't realize it, but I'm in the north on the Pakistan border in a really, really remote area, and there are no English-speaking people. There's no cell phone service, no internet, so I can't communicate with anybody in any way at all. I had to send my mom a postcard saying, listen, you're not gonna hear from me for a little while, but I'm alive, I'm okay, so don't stress. And you go a day without your cell phone or seeing somebody, talking to a friend or so, it's a little weird. Mm-hmm. Try going 20 plus days without having any communication at all in any way. I got to day 3 or 4 and I almost hit the eject button because I felt like I was about to lose my mind.
Yeah.
But I thought, again, back to coincidences, which I don't believe in. It's maybe happening for a reason. I've just had this awakening event of sorts. I've got a lot to think about. I'm on this trip for this very reason to figure out how I want to move forward and what's this next chapter going to be. So maybe I use the time and the opportunity to really sink my teeth into that and start figuring this out. I got nothing but time, and it's pretty quiet. And it's beautiful. I mean, I'm at the base of this mountain staying on a houseboat in Dowell Lake in Kashmir. That's the city I was in. And
Are you pretty isolated, or are you with other people?
I was on this
the boat
boat
as well?
with the owner of the boat, who didn't speak a lick of English either. But every night we're sitting across the dinner table, just the two of us, at a 15, 20 foot long table, and he's talking to me knowing I have no clue what he's saying. I don't know if he's messing with me or he's trying to humor himself or not lose any more of whatever sanity he's got left.
Sure.
But
Did you talk back to him and just have a full-on conversation?
nah, I mean, you know, it was awkward. It was after a little bit of time it quit, but it yeah, who knows. It was, I don't know why he was doing it, but
So you have this time where, so I guess your only company here for 20 plus days is another guy who you don't speak the same language as.
yep.
So you have a lot of time to reflect. You have no access to communication or social media. And so what's that like? Do you still remember going into that feeling like you have a new lease on life?
Mm-hmm.
And then what'd you come out of that trip with?
Yeah, so this is when I started to really determine the initial concept of this by thinking, okay, I love events. They bring people together. They give them a release. If they're not where they want to be in life, they're not happy, they can at least see their friends and have a good time and get their mind off of what they're kind of stressed about most of the week otherwise. And if I want to do more than just an occasional event here and there, which is what I've been doing, then maybe I build a place that allows me to do events a lot more consistently, a lot more diverse in type and scope and size, everything from 10 or 20 person gatherings to 1,000+ person concerts. But there needs to be more. There needs to be something that offers more of a value add and the ability to get either a better balance in life or just in some way, shape, or form get to a better place, mostly on the mental and emotional side. Because I think we're just getting busier in this rat race of getting more done, making more money, more, and we're losing sight of what's important to us, you know, because everybody around us is doing it, so again, we don't really question it that much. And I'm thinking maybe I can build a space that offers the things that we're doing every day, but the ability to do them all in one full integrated place. Mm-hmm. What are the three main things that most of us as adults do every day? Well, most of us need to work. Most of us want to do something for our own health and wellness, exercise, meditation, something on the mind-body side. Mm-hmm. And then finally, social's a given, right? Whether it's entertainment or relaxation on the spa treatment side, you know. So these are the three things that I started to think about as not core pillars, but core focuses, to simplify and make this an efficient model from a standpoint of saving time and maybe even money as well. You can come here in the morning and you can get a workout in and you can get work done, and then you can meet good people and socialize and have that, you know, personal time that you really enjoy.
And you're networking at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the beauty of it. I get excited about how there are so many different ways people can get benefit from this, and it's not, it needs to be this way or it should be this way. It's how do you get value out of this? How does it make sense to you and your lifestyle and what you're looking for? Because not everybody has the ability to work remote. Some people have to go to their employer's place of work and work a 9 to 5. But if you can work remote, you can really do everything else here. So instead of going from your home to your office, out to lunch, back to the office, then to the gym, then home, then maybe out for social, then home, no wonder you're so exhausted. No wonder it feels like you don't have enough time in the day to get enough done. You always feel like you're behind, or just the stress of trying to do all these things, getting from A to B, finding parking. It's a lot. It's overwhelming. And it doesn't seem like it's getting much easier. If anything, COVID, I think, pushing us back home and being told to stay away from each other. We brought our work home with us. Now we don't have that separation as much. And we didn't even realize it because at the time we're thinking about all kinds of stuff. Our world is being flipped upside down and we're all being in some way taken outside of our routine. We've never been through something like this ever. So
Right.
So what did I want to come back to what you've built now and what this is. So did this concept, this idea, you knew you wanted to bring these things together, and that putting events together was something that you were passionate about, bringing people together.
Sure.
So was it immediately the Wanderer? I know what it's going to be, and it's going to, it's going to be this club, and here's how people will come, or was it? Did you have that much clarity, or what were the next steps before you actually started putting things into motion to create this place, which is really, really amazing?
Thank you. Came up with the base model and what I felt it needed to have as the core components in India from a standpoint of just work, social, health and wellness, fitness, health and wellness. So let's make this a convenience play to some extent, so you can do all these things in one place. I wanted it to be central and convenient, and downtown is what makes it such. So I knew when I got home, I was going to look for a place that would be downtown. And it would be easy to access, and it would have free parking, and you wouldn't have to drive around the block 3 or 4 times like a lot of places on the other side of town to find parking.
Sure.
As far as the programming, I guess, what would be the other part that would be most helpful with that question? Is it the types of events, or,
Yep.
It kind of needs to cater to a broad demographic, so it has something to offer all of the different interests and groups that are joining and seeing benefit from using it in one way, shape, or form. So it's everything from workshops to wine tastings, movie nights and concerts, comedy and networking, happy hour events. The more the diversity can grow, the better. And we look at this as we're creating a base model, and we're saying this is our initial programming, but give us feedback, tell us what you want to see more of, less of, what we're not doing. Like, let this be more of, we're building this and evolving it together. We're building this community, but we want you to have some ownership in this. It's not like a ask and obligation. It's, this is a great opportunity for you to show us exactly what you want. So it's not us thinking this is what we think it should be and then hoping that we get it right. It's been a very give and take.
I think that's great. So you take feedback from your members, from the folks that are telling you what sort of experience they want to have.
Yeah.
So what is, I know you do events that are inclusive for just your members.
Yep.
Exclusive for just your members, and then also inclusive where they can bring guests as well.
Yep.
That are members. When somebody comes and becomes a member right here at the Wanderer, what should they expect?
In terms of what we have to offer on the programming side, or, it's the mixture of events and the types of things that I mentioned earlier. It's we want to have an even balance of work-centric programming and events and experiences. Same with fitness and wellness, same with social. Because the goal is to have a very balanced, equal focus on those three.
Right.
Since we don't quite yet know if most of the people are joining for this, or this and this versus this and this.
Sure.
Ideally, it's all three, because the more that we have to offer that you're using, the more benefit, the more value, and the more it's helping with hopefully increasing that quality of life and just making more sense, saving more time and money. I'd love for people to start understanding more about that time element, because I'm a big believer time's the most valuable commodity we all have. We're never going to get any more of it. And try to put a price tag on saving a few hours a day, or just 1 hour a day in your life, and what that extrapolates out to over 1 year. It's weeks.
It's big time.
Sometimes
Absolutely.
it might be months if it's 2 or 3 hours a day on the commute, finding parking. We spend a lot of time doing things that I don't feel should be the case or have to be the case, but we don't have that convenience play with an all-in-one. So
when you guys have done a great job designing the space to where you have different areas of the space are for each of those three things. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah,
and just
absolutely.
kind of how the space is kind of divided up?
Yeah, and you're right with saying that, but we also look at the whole campus, for instance, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, as either work or fitness, because you're probably not coming in to get a tequila sunrise at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. Maybe in Charleston, actually.
Depends on the day. Depends on the day.
depends on the day.
But, comparative to your recreation and leisure country club, golf and tennis is the focus. This is more efficient in what we feel or what we're trying to do in terms of what makes sense. So you're probably not coming in the morning to do something other than work or exercise. So the pool is junior Olympic in regulation for lap swimming. And then in the afternoon, we take the quelling ropes out, and it's more of a social play. We've got 3 co-working lounges that at 5 p.m. and on the weekends go from a work-centric space to a social space. The rooftop goes from that, and at 5 it becomes a sports bar. So that's kind of the best way to describe the best usage we feel of the space. Come in the morning, get a workout in, get showered, changed, stay on site, get your work done. Have your meetings or, do what you need by yourself. And then 5 o'clock, close your laptop, stay on site for the social. So you're getting all these things that you're doing every day throughout the day. You're getting that value and that time back in your life. You're hopefully not being as stressed and fatigued by the time you get home. And it increases your productivity. Your clarity with the stress coming down only helps to further that. And you're meeting good people, and all these in tandem really bring about the total experience.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're talking about that, because it is a balanced total experience that you're talking about.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit, like you told us once before that when you open, you open on like July 4th
Yep.
or whatever, and then almost, can we like maybe put something to bed? I want to help you put something to bed of like, always you open July 4th, everybody's dying to come outside from COVID, and your first extravaganza is a huge Vegas style pool party.
Yeah, I would easily say that it's the number one misperception by far since we opened at the same time at the time that we opened, like you're mentioning. I get it, but it's incredibly important that we help people understand what it really truly is, because if they think it's a pool club and they think it's just a social play or it's a young party place, they couldn't be further from the truth, and that's on us, and we've been working really hard to help people better understand what it really truly is, while we're still figuring out more about the demographic that's joining and how they're using it, and it's evolving. So I think just better understanding how they can use it to benefit their lifestyle and their needs, what makes sense to them, is most important. But it's not a limited social only play. It's a comprehensive all-in-one. It's the opposite. And the challenge with the misperception of what it is being that far off of what it has seemed to be to some people, just seeing stuff on social media and 4th of July and last summer, I get it, but that's what's going to drive the people that join. If they think it's this, then that's who is going to gravitate. If they think it's this, then... So we're starting to get into that clarity finally, and we're starting to see that demographic that's aligned with the highest and best use join. And now we're starting to see that really awesome use that's balanced with the work during the day and the fitness in the morning and afternoons and the social in the evenings and on the weekends, which is, it's taken some time, but with COVID just disrupting all of our routines and changing so much, there's been a lot of questions and confusions and wondering about what this is.
Right.
It's a new model. It's not anything crazy complex, but we don't really do well with new and different and changes to our box of conformity. We want what's comfortable and what we know really well.
Right. So, so you have all these different things that you do. Like you say the programming, right? You're talking about event programming and the fitness programming and the different things that you have. So there's a social component, and that's very Instagram worthy and social worthy, and that's probably where a lot of your members, they post all that stuff.
Sure.
And then you have obviously the work component. You have workspaces designed for folks to be able to get work done, to network. It's built into your programming as well with the events and stuff. You have coffee bars here on site, so that afternoon pick-me-up, I know I always need that. So that's available. And then you have a fitness area designed as well, where you run group classes and where folks can get this stuff in. And so you have all these different things. You've designed the space for it. You've designed the programming and the events and stuff. But it seems like your overall theme here, what you're going for, is wellness.
Yeah, it's community, it's wellness. Wellness is, I think, not only our biggest or most key differentiator, because I think that it's the best opportunity for us to increase that quality of life, mostly from stress relief, because none of us are stressed these days, right? And
Yeah, not
we
at
can
all.
kind of give you all these things that you're looking to do or you're already doing in one place. Great. Functional benefit, saving time, money, convenience. But most importantly, helping people get some simple tools and tips and tricks on how to alleviate stress, get a better balance, understand what's important, and how they can not let these little things continue to add up and just drain them. Because the reality is, stress is, I think, one of the biggest killers, period. It weakens the body, it makes you more susceptible to illness, and if you don't have balance, you're going to have stress. If you're making all these expectations and life doesn't match your blueprint, oh wow, So it's more of a perspective shift that we're not trying to make happen, but trying to make easier if you're open to it. Because if you can do that, then you understand more of what's important. The stress also comes down. You know how to get a better balance for you that might be different from the next person that gets it this way. It has to make sense for you. So we're not going to probably ever say this is how you should use it, or we don't know. And it's going to be different person to person. But we're still evolving everything with the feedback we're continuing to get, and this is a really exciting time for us because we're starting to see that usage in the demographic, and it's a really diverse crowd that's joining. Like I always say, the more diverse the better. More ideas coming to the table, more cultural background changes, and just more of everything.
I agree with you. I've had the opportunity to come to several networking groups and spend some time here, just on my own, and it's has a feel like no other. And there's another old school place, networking place down the road we won't mention, but it's used for networking or thought as networking and things like that, and it's very, I'm going to say, just feels very country club. Where this feels a lot more imaginative. There just feels like when you're here, there's a lot more going on, or people's minds are a lot more open.
Yep. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah,
I want you to feel like you're not in Charleston from the moment you walk in.
Right.
We're working on an event right now that we might do in the next few months. It's called Imaginarium, and it's just kind of to help take what you just said to the next level and just turn this place into something even more creative and different. Big believer that we should be as creative as we can, because creativity by definition is thinking outside of what you know is possible based on what you've seen. If you stay in that box, you're not going to grow, because you're just doing more of the same that you've already done, and you're really limiting your life. So more ideas, more creativity, more of the new and different, that really, I think, drives all of us to want even more of that, and it's what excites us. More of the same is, we get bored easy, right? Look at how much we're having thrown at us all the time now. It's tough to get anybody's attention, but the new and different almost always works.
We're definitely leading by example with that. Even with this place and with this concept, which it has some Indian philosophy as far as how you came up with the concept. The aesthetics have a lot of, you brought some of that from Tulum and from some other areas of the world. So you're definitely being creative, thinking outside the box, just bringing all these things together and adding that social component. So cheers to you for
Thank you.
Taking that and then leading by example with it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I have a question for you. If when this thing first became an idea for you, you had a vision for it, but nobody else can necessarily see what that vision was. And, I assume you probably had a pretty awesome team in building this and putting it together over the last few years. So if you could go back 5 years, 10 years maybe, right, whatever kind of time frame, and have a conversation with Bo, younger Bo at that time, what advice might you give him?
Figure out what you want in life that's maybe before you start thinking of dollar signs and thinking that that's paramount, figure out what's going to drive you to be happy, be challenged, be rewarded, and know that you're at least spending the time in your life the way you want. Because I'm a firm believer that if you figure that out and it really is what you want it more than anything, and you've got that clarity, you'll put in the time, effort, and everything that's required to make the money that most people might tell you. If you want to be an artist or a poet or a professional athlete, good luck. You might be able to make it happen, but so don't listen to other people too. Like, if it's your dream, why are you letting other people tell you that it's not likely or it's not as easy? Nothing's easy if it's worth it, but figure out what's most important to you and don't let anybody change that, and make that your focus throughout life. And then it's a little easier to make decisions because everything ideally needs to align with that. If it doesn't, then yeah, you're going to be stressed, you're going to have some confusion, you're going to question why you're bringing these people into your life and calling them friends if it's not for the right reasons and they're not adding value to your life. And you're not looking up to them and learning from them. And I think it's either you're over here and you're focused on that and all of it does align, or you're in this other place that is really challenging to have anything make sense, and you're probably never going to be as happy as you can be. That's most important to me, because if you've got that, everything else becomes a lot less difficult, and the challenges that you're faced with become a lot more rewarding and worth it. You don't say, well, I wish this wasn't so hard, and I'm doing it for this amount of money and I don't even know if it's worth it. You start to compare things that are not meant to be, you shouldn't be able to put a price tag on time and try to do it,
Yeah.
That's why you start to get into an emotional state and a confusion of, why am I doing this? Well, I'm kind of locked into this. If I leave to go after my dreams, then what if it doesn't work? That fear is crippling, and it keeps us from going after the things that we know are important to us, but we're already in this place where we kind of just need to settle. So, figure this out early in life. Let it be your path or your guiding force, and don't deviate from it if you want to be happy.
Go ahead.
Great answer.
Well, I agree. And if you're executing on, like you said, anything that's worth building, the only thing we know is that it's going to be hard. That's basically the only guarantee, right? So, and if it's not something you're passionate about, it's easy to throw in the towel, right?
Yeah.
How many opportunities have you had to bail on this project if you didn't have a passion for it?
I had a eject button of sorts early on that I thought, if things get really rough, then okay, I can at least exercise this and things will be okay, or they won't be as bad if it just doesn't work out. And I purposefully just released that, so I didn't have that in the back of my mind, because I'm a big believer that if you have a plan B, you're gonna let that oftentimes take precedence. That fear starts to get to a certain level and you think, but if you don't have it, you find a way, because there's no other way other than through it.
Yeah, burn the boats.
Yeah, it's like screw the system, create your own path is kind of part of my motto. And again, back to people telling you can or can't do this, prove them wrong. Let it be fuel. Let it drive even more of that excitement and that challenge that is going to be rewarding. Do you want something that's easy? You're gonna get pretty bored after a while, and you're not going to really feel like you're getting much out of life. The people that are handed everything in life on a silver platter from birth are typically not the people that are the happiest. Or if they are, it's not because of the money, from what I've seen.
Right. How about, so again, we've talked about this. When you first had this concept, you had this vision. Nobody else could see your vision yet. Right now it's easy. We step in, it's like, oh, this place is amazing, right? Great job. But there's a point when you didn't have all this. So what advice would you give to somebody else, let's say right now, as they're watching or listening to this? Maybe they have a vision, it's something bigger than they can even, really bring clarity to just yet. But they need to get other people to buy into the vision. They need to start building their team. And it's going to be an adventure. It's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah.
What sort of advice would you have for somebody like that?
Well, if it's what they really want to do and they're sure of it, then be open to whatever happens. Don't set so many expectations because you're going to be disappointed and that's going to work against you. 2, make sure you have the best people you can possibly bring into it. If you're going to bring in partners and you need employees, make sure that they're genuine people and they also want to be a part of it for ideally the same reasons that you started working on the concept of the project. Focus on the things that you can't teach, reliability, integrity, support, and patience and understanding, because you can teach most everything else. These are things that if you don't have, it makes everything a lot more challenging. People at the end of the day, in my opinion, make the biggest difference in life. They create the experience, and that's the second thing. It's people and experiences that drive quality of life. So if you don't have great people in your life, but you have everything else, is that a scenario that we even want to think is something that we want or want to even consider? You might hate what you're doing 40 hours a week, but if you're surrounded with an incredible team, you're not thinking about how you hate your job. However, if you love what you're doing 40 hours a week, but everybody around you is miserable and you're just having constant negative energy rubbing off on you, whether you like it or not, you're probably not going to stay in that career, even if it was perfectly aligned with what you wanted to do with your time. And I use these extremities sometimes because it's important for us to take a step back and realize that we're so conditioned to think this and this and this until we're asked in a certain way. And then we wake up. I always say, if you're happy, like truly, if you won the lottery today, would you wake up tomorrow and still go back to do what you're doing every day right now?
Right.
And it's interesting to ask people if they're really happy. They say, yeah, absolutely. And then you ask that question, and they're like, no, of course not. And it's like, all right, I'm going to ask you the question again. Are you truly happy? And it's just a long pause. Maybe I guess I'm not. Well, have you been conditioned to think that you've got a great salary and the stability and all the things that we've been taught and domesticated from birth to think that this is what we want, this is what we should strive for? And then when you get there, if you get there, it's not what you thought.
That's a great
disappointment.
Question. I've never considered it that way.
Yeah.
It's a challenging, a thought-provoking question.
Just goes back to time, try to put a price tag on the time in your life.
For sure.
Spend your time as wisely as you can. Invest in time as the most valuable commodity we have, anything you do, you're investing in that time, that person or people, that experience. So if you're really careful and thoughtful about how you spend that time, I think it only helps drive everything else that you're looking for.
Man, well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Most definitely.
Well, speaking of investing time, I want to just say personally, on behalf of both of us, thank you for investing some time into telling your story and what the Wonder is and how it came about. I definitely really appreciate it, and I'm excited for everybody to see this and learn more about what you guys are up to here. I think they'll be very pleasantly surprised if they're not already aware of what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bo.
Real pleasure.
If anyone wants to learn more about you or about the Wanderer, get some more information, where should we send them?
Here, reach out to us and schedule a time with our team, which, by the way, I just want to say is the best thing we have going for us. We have an incredible group, and I'm not just saying this. Come here, meet them, see for yourself. They are making this brand what we aspired that it could, hopefully, at some point in time become. We're already ahead of where we hoped we'd be, and I think that's the biggest impact piece we've got. It's all about people at the end of the day, right? You're not going to join this place no matter what it looks like, no matter how cool or different or whatever, if the people are not who you want to spend your time around. So either membership at thewonder.com if you're interested in seeing the place and learning more about what everything we have to offer is, or it's concierge at the Wonder for anything else, events, etc.
Awesome.
So, concierge at thewonder.com?
Concierge, membership or concierge at thewonder.com.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
And then social?
Social is at the Wanderer CHS and the Wanderer CHS, I believe, or just type in the Lively Charleston on Facebook.
Awesome. And to our viewers, listeners, whoever, you got to just come out and see it. You can look at it in social. You can see it on on the internet, whatever. You got to come out and see it and experience it for yourself. I just have to tell you, because I have met your team, and they are amazing. And I want to let you know that I'm a big fan of your ethos, everything you have going on here.
Thank you.
And that's one thing I do mention when I talk about this special place of yours. So
Thank you so much.
you can obviously tell you took a lot of time.
Well, at the end of the day, it's the people that become a part of this that makes it what we want it to become. So, real pleasure doing this with you all, that being said as well.
Awesome, man.
Likewise.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thanks, Bo. Appreciate it, man.
Real pleasure.
Take care.
Hey y'all, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like or follow or subscribe, whatever platform you're on, just hit the button to make sure you don't miss any future episodes.
Yep, and please help us grow the channel by sharing it with someone else who might enjoy it as well. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.